Welcome to this episode of Love That For You, the podcast where we dive into the stories that shape us and celebrate the moments that make us who we are. I'm your host, Morgan Leatherwood, a Charlotte-based professional photographer with a passion for genuine connections. Get ready for a conversation that's both lighthearted and deeply insightful. As we journey through each episode, you'll witness the power of storytelling in its purest form. Whether we're discussing pivotal life moments, overcoming challenges, or celebrating achievements, every story will leave you saying, "Love that for you." It's a phrase that encapsulates our genuine enthusiasm for the triumphs of others and the joy that radiates from their successes. You could be anywhere, listening to anything, but you're here, and I love that for you. Hey friends, before we jump into our conversation, I just wanted to remind you, if you don't know already, I actually host another podcast called Queen City Connect. This is a podcast that celebrates the dreamers, the doers, and the change makers of Charlotte, North Carolina. If that sounds like something that would interest you, I would love for you to go check it out on any podcast platform, even the one you're listening to right now. We would absolutely love that. Give it a like, give it a subscribe, rate and review, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. We also have an Instagram page that you can follow along to see who all of the incredible small business owners and nonprofits and creatives that make up Charlotte, North Carolina are at. So if that sounds like something you would enjoy, we would love for you to listen in. Thanks, everyone. Well, listen, I would love to add more people to my team, but this is what it is. This is what God has supplied. He said, this is what you've got.
You can do it all.
I need you to work with it.
You're a one-woman show.
I'm trying. Have you heard the phrase, a jack of all trades, master of none? But it doesn't end there. You know how
does it end?
So my entire life, I have been called, and I've talked about this on episodes before, maybe for Queen City Connect, but my whole life people have been like, you're a jack of all trades, because I just enjoy different things.
Yes.
But then later on I hear, oh yeah, well the next part is a master of none. And I'm like, oh, well that's discouraging. I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
I feel like in news, sometimes I have imposter syndrome because
Yes.
I feel like I know a lot
yeah.
I know a little about a lot of
Yes.
things and not
Yes.
a lot about one specific topic.
Right. But the quote does not end there. It keeps going. And a lot of people don't know how it ends. So a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one. That's how it ends. That is the full quote in correct context.
Okay, so we won't be using it anymore.
No, it's actually great because me dabbling in a lot of things is actually could be better
Yes.
than so-and-so who just does that one thing really well.
That's right. Look at you. You're doing all of this. I think it's paid off.
Oh,
You should do it your little slogan. The full quote, people. This is what the full quote is.
Yeah, it's on my social somewhere. I'm like, y'all, this is actually the full quote.
Yeah.
So
that should just be your title under your Instagram.
Yeah.
You know, where you have to describe yourself.
yes, that is my bio link. I love that. Oh my gosh. Sarah French, you're in the studio again.
Yes, but talking to you.
But talking to me, and this time for the Love That For You podcast. Last time
Yes.
for Queen City Connect, you were being interviewed by Terry Flanagan.
My friend, which was weird getting interviewed by your friend because they're asking you about things they already know about. And if you deviate anyway, she's like, I know the truth.
That's a cute answer. Now go ahead and tell us the real story.
Yes.
That is because you were her favorite friend, like the favorite person
That's
on.
sweet. I love Terry. She's my favorite. Isn't she amazing?
She's incredible.
She's like everybody's cheerleader.
Yeah. I
love
talk
Terry.
about her so much on all the podcasts and in real life too. She's just,
Yes,
she's great.
she's
so
great. And I love your podcast. Love That For You. No, I've been listening to both of them now, but on the Love That For You, which is what we're on now. I'm loving your guests. They're so great. I feel just so inspired. I've been listening to them on my way to work.
that makes me so happy.
Yeah. And I said, I loved your pastor too. It was great. I really enjoyed that one.
Pastor Spence,
Yeah.
pastor of the pod. That was a fun conversation. It's been really neat. I would love to create series or seasons of topics that I talk about or type of people that I bring back to interview. At this point, it's really just who can I get to come on the podcast who has a great story and is available to come in before the holidays.
Yeah.
But it is neat to see how similar stories are kind of being woven in together. And it's well, I wouldn't have made this a series. I wouldn't have known to make it a series, but it's several people that I have come on, we all talk about similar things. And it's well, I guess that's just what we need to talk about and what we need to listen to.
Yeah.
So
I love it. You should do a series. That would be good.
What
Group
is
them
my
all
series going to be on?
Group them all together. I don't know.
Okay, I gotta think about it.
I feel like in your podcast, you cover a wide range of topics.
Well, does that not sound like me?
It's all over the place. The jack of all trades.
That's right. That is so right. But we're not here to talk about me today. We're here to talk about you.
No, you don't want me to interview you?
As honored as I would be, it's probably better if you don't.
It is weird being in the like receiving end where you're like, oh, okay, someone's interviewing me. You feel like, because I like being in control with interviews, and I feel like it's less pressure. Even though people are like, oh, were you nervous interviewing so-and-so? No, I feel less pressure because I'm just asking them questions, you know? And so sometimes when I have to get interviewed, especially when you get up at 2 a.m, you're like, okay, make a complete sentence, or you're in the middle of your thought. I feel like a lot of parents have this issue too. You're in the middle of a thought and then you're like, where was I going with this?
Yeah.
It had an end goal.
That happens to me so much.
But I forgot where I was going.
Yeah, that happens so much. But
we're human.
We're human.
It's okay.
We're going to give ourselves grace. We're going to give each other grace. And we're going to go one step at a time.
Yeah.
So, well, you are killing it as a journalist, as a news anchor, as a mom, wife, all the things. And now you have the title author.
Yes.
Right? Is this your first book?
It is.
Okay.
It
First
is.
ever book.
Yes.
I'm so excited to talk about, we're basically going to talk about your incredible book today, and other things will be sprinkled in too, as well, because we can't just talk about one thing. But I am so excited to talk about your new incredible book, A Beautiful Story, Jesus and Saint Nick. I just want to know why you wanted to write a book if you've never written a book.
So I feel like I've always enjoyed storytelling. Okay. That's always been my passion. Yeah. So it kind of leans in that direction. But this book, as a parent, I'm very into like the history of holidays and why we have certain traditions. And I want my kids to know why we celebrate certain holidays. And so anyway, I was looking for a book that told the story of Jesus's birth and then the true story of Saint Nicholas without giving away, no matter how you celebrate. I didn't want it to ruin anything, the magic of Christmas. We love Santa in our household too. Yeah. And that was, I had a lot of special memories as Santa visiting as a kid. And so I kept looking for this book, and all I could find were, of course, books on Jesus's birth, which is the reason for this season. And it is the main thing in our household. And we always push that. We want everything to point back to Jesus. But then we had, jolly old Saint Nick, but I couldn't find something that wove the two stories together, as one beautiful story. And so I basically went on a scrapbooking website and just wrote the story myself and wrote it for my kids and pulled in some like clip art pictures. And at the end was talking about how we can all be a Santa and be giving. And it wasn't until a mom on social media asked me, like, how do we do Santa as Christians in a Christian household? And I was like, oh, well, Santa was a follower of Jesus. Yeah. And we have a lot of these traditions because of the real person of who Saint Nicholas was. Yeah. And we're carrying on that. And he was an ambassador for Christ, and he was showing Christ's love. And we can do the same thing for others. And, as you get older, you can be a Santa too for others. And so I made like a TikTok video or an Instagram reel and showed the little book. And then I started getting messages, and people were like, do you have like the text? Can I get a copy? And so that's what started me on this journey. Like, okay, maybe I should turn this into a children's book. And it took a lot longer, than I thought, and finding an illustrator and everything. And the original story was just, the story of Jesus's birth and Saint Nicholas. This story, I actually weave in. I bring you into my home. Yeah. What's Christmas Eve? I'm getting the kids ready for bed. And so Blair and CJ, my kids, are woven throughout the story too. And they learn a nice lesson about the importance of Christmas and giving and, putting others first. And it ends with this sweet little prayer at the end.
What I love that you did with this book is the fact that you went on that hunt of like, is there a book that exists that ties in both? I'll speak for myself. Like, I wouldn't even think to look for that book because I just would assume it's not there, or like before I read that book, I honestly didn't even really know that there was an actual Saint Nicholas.
Yeah.
Like, this is an actual real person. He was born in Germany, right?
What is now modern day Turkey.
Turkey.
Yeah.
That's right. Born in Turkey.
Which the kids always laugh at that when you say Turkey.
I laughed.
He was born in Turkey. What?
And now we're going to have a geography lesson. Yeah, but like, real guy, he loved the Lord.
Yep.
And loved giving to people.
Yes.
That is the concept of Santa Claus.
Yes.
Which is like, it's just kind of like sneaky Jesusing people all the time, because everyone who like doesn't celebrate like for Jesus or spiritual reasons, it's like, God's so smart. He's like, even when you don't think you are, like you kind of are.
You
like,
are.
Everything good in this world is because of the Lord,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
So whether you see it or acknowledge it at all, like the Bible tells us, like the rocks cry out, like everything points
Yes.
back to God. So just like as a believer, that's just kind of cool to see that. But then to make the connection that he was a follower of Christ. So it's almost this like, we get to be Santa.
Yes.
That is a
Yes.
concept that I honestly feel like even non-believers should take and run with, maybe more than like the world does, of like, let's go be Santa.
Yes.
Like instead of going to see him at the mall, we can go see him. We love seeing him at the mall. Santa's, please stay at the mall. But like also we get to be that. We get to go give.
Yeah, we can be ambassadors for Christ too.
That's right.
And this season is not about what can I get? It's about what can we give to other people. And of course, I teach my kids, Jesus is the greatest gift of all that was given to us.
Right.
And so we give to others. And I even put in there, the verses from Isaiah that are prophecy for Jesus that were written 700 years before Jesus's birth. And then, 300 years later, this boy named Nicholas was born. And so just having those factual details in there, I think is so important for kids. And then, like I said earlier, no matter how you celebrate with your kids, I wanted this book to work for either way. So it doesn't ruin anything, but it would work for however your family celebrates. And it's meant to be educational, for kids and adults. You're not the first adult to tell me like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know this. Because normally it's like we do this thing and then, oh, if little ears are listening, maybe, but I don't want to ruin anything. But, and then it's like, the end. Well, no, it's not. Like you said, it's so much more than that. And there is a reason why our tradition started. People said St. Nicholas would toss in coins through a window, and they said it landed in the stockings that were hung out by the fireplace to dry. And so that's why we hang out our stockings now. And, some people say he left coins and shoes outside the door and stuff. So there's little traditions like that there is a reason for these small ways that we celebrate the holiday.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It all comes back to whether you believe it or not, just like you said, like we can be educated. Like this is the actual story of what happened. Okay. So what is it about children's books and how they're actually meant for adults more than kids? Like, did you write this thinking like this is actually going to help adults? Because I've been able to talk to a few different like children's authors and I read their books and I'm like, okay, but I needed to read this message. And they're like, I oftentimes write it for the parents because I know the parents are going to be reading it to their kids.
Yeah. I loved look at your kitty. Hello, kitty. What's this kitty?
This is canon. So sorry.
It's totally fine. It's okay. I used to have cats. I have dogs now, and they're so loud, and they're just they ruin everything. No, I love my dogs, but my house definitely sometimes smells and looks like dogs live there. And my mom loves that.
Yeah. He was like, okay, I just need you to acknowledge my presence with your time.
What were we talking about?
I don't even know.
I was going to say, I loved your podcast with Paula Ferris. I got her book and I thought it was so great talking about
who do you want to be when you grow up
instead of what do you want to do?
Yep.
So it's such a great message.
Yeah.
For
like, why have we not
children.
thought of it? I'm so glad she thought about it and wrote it. And I'm also like, why have we not thought about this before?
Totally. We should be thinking about our character, and it's not about your job or career that defines you, which I think a lot of people struggle with that. I mean, I even struggle with that. And I know Paula used to be in news. And so I've had friends, that leave news and they're like, you almost feel like your identity was in news. Now, I know as a Christian, my identity is in Christ, and I cling to that.
But even as a Christian, I would imagine you could still walk away and be like, that was what I was good at.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do now? You know? That's just a human feeling.
Yes, for sure. And so I just love that message. But I'm always looking for books for my kids, like the true story of certain holidays or like for Native American Heritage Month. Like since we're going through that, I've done some stories in Cherokee this month. So that's why it's on my mind. But I always try to get them stories that tell them, like I found a book that talked about 9/11 and a kid's version of the book. I think it's really important for kids. Yeah. I mean, I think cute little children's books are great and my kids have plenty of those, but I really want them to be educated too in what they're reading. So I completely agree with what you're saying.
Yeah. And it's like, as old as you get, the truth still stays the same. Like every age needs to be educated. Every age still needs the same truth that is gained from all these books. So,
well, I'm a big proponent of constantly learning and growing.
Yeah.
I mean, during the pandemic, I went back to school. I did it online, but I got my master's.
Good for you.
And so
I got my master's online.
You did?
Go us. Yes.
Well,
that's terrible.
Well, yes. Once you get into it, I definitely was like, what am I doing? My mom was like, just quit. I'm like, Mom, I started and I'm not going to quit. But my brother, he was graduating from medical school and I went to his graduation and I was like, you know, it's something about being on a campus and you're just so inspired. And
I'm not. I'm like, oh, where's the party? But yes, continue. For any listener who understands this.
I was very inspired. I love school. I'm the nerdy, like, sat on the front row. I was the note taker for like the university, like one of in my classes. So I would turn in my notes for like students that needed them. And
I would have been that student. So we would have been friends. That would have been the relationship. Thank you for your service.
It's always like the secretary note taking. Yes. So anyway, I love learning new things and growing and I don't want to ever be like stagnant.
Yeah. Okay. So how did you have time to write a book? And like, what does this process look like for someone who's like, my plate is full, I'm doing all the things.
Yeah.
I've never written a book, but this might be something I'm interested in doing. Can you kind of give, or is there a blueprint? Maybe there's not. Maybe it's just different for.
Well, I have talked to some other friends that wrote books as well. And everyone did it during the pandemic. You know, so that doesn't help.
Missed opportunity.
But I also have a very unique schedule. So I get up at 2, which is brutal, but I'm done at 12:30.
What time do you go to bed?
That depends. I'm getting really tired lately. I think it's because I'm getting older. So I think I'm going to have to like force myself to go to bed earlier and attempt to get a good amount of sleep.
Yeah.
Because I don't. Sometimes I'm getting like 5 to 6 hours of sleep. And so by the end of the week,
Which
it's
is
just
not
like
terrible.
It's not terrible.
Not ideal.
But I just don't know how to do it any other way with my kids. You know, my son loves to come in my room at night. It's like, Mommy, can I get in bed with you? I'm like, sure, baby, just close your eyes, just be quiet. Let's just go to sleep. And it's amazing because if he ever does come in there, my alarm goes off. It's like he never wakes up to my alarm. I don't know how that's possible. Nice. It must be nice. I don't know how that's possible.
Okay, so waking up at 2 a.m. and then are you writing when you wake up?
No. Okay. I get ready and then I'm out the door.
Okay.
So if I am working on a project, whether that was when I was in grad school or working on this book, it's when I get home from work before I get the kids from school.
Okay.
Which now, as the kids get older, they're more involved in activities. So I feel like, and everybody says that as you get older, as your kids get older, you feel like your life is just constantly speeding up. So I feel like I'm always looking at my husband like, how can we slow down? This is like all too fast, too much. And I feel like friends that I talk to too are always like, we're trying to figure out how to slow down. And we're like, what do we cut? What can we cut? Because I do think family time is so important and we don't always do it enough, but I'm, a big proponent of trying to do as many like family dinners as we can, try to do like family devotionals in the evening. Sometimes the kids are at 2 different things and we're running around and then we're falling into bed and it happens. But it is always a goal of mine. And I actually keep an app, a habit app, because I'm crazy. I will put down every time we have family meals and when we do family devotionals. And
You're like logging that.
I'm logging it because I want to look back on the week or the month or the summer and say, okay, we're not putting in effort into where I feel God is calling us, where we should be as a family. And that is number one. I feel like if we put extracurriculars or whatever above that with our kids, then they're going to grow into adults who have their priorities all out of whack.
Right.
So I like to look back and say, oh, this was a good week, or this was a good month, or this wasn't. We need to kind of reassess. Yeah. What are we doing now?
Here's the proof of where we missed it. But also like looking back and almost using it as an encouragement of, life was crazy, but we sat down 82 times as a family. That's great.
Yeah. You have the best like conversation as a family. You can talk about school and everything. So
I heard the phrase or the quote, you're not raising kids, you're raising adults.
Yes.
And I'm like, I'm not even a mom. And I'm like, oh, that's good.
Is it so true?
Yeah.
Because their habits, you're teaching them how to be adults.
Yeah.
And granted, I know that as we get older, they'll always be our babies and we'll always be their parent. And I'm sure I'll give my kids advice when they're adults and they won't want it. And they'll say, Mom, I'm an adult. But yeah, I want to instill these habits in them and point them in the right direction and set an example for them. And I'm like preaching to the choir. I'm constantly reminding myself this, but if they always see us running and gunning, or if they never see us sitting with our Bibles open, then why would they feel encouraged or motivated to do that? So I always want to try to do everything we can as a family to set that example and make sure as a family we're making those things a priority.
Yeah. That's so good. I feel like for me, like, and for anyone else listening who like lives alone or is single, like that same discipline, I feel like I still need, because it's like I have every excuse in the world to stay out as late as I want and to do whatever I want, which is, I would imagine you hear that and you're like, oh, that sounds amazing. But it's like, I also am like, but I do need to be disciplined in sitting down and still reading my Bible. Because if I'm not doing that, how do I expect my relationships to reflect that, or for me to have that type of positive impact on other people?
Yeah.
So that's a message for every single person, I feel like.
And it's easy, you know, especially when you've worked all day. Like for me, when it's such a performance-based job, you come home and I've read a prompter all day.
Yeah.
I come home and the last thing I want to do is read. I want to watch TV.
The last thing I want to do is read on any day, no matter how I feel.
I know. I have
it's a miracle I read your book. You're welcome. It was a struggle, but I did it.
You know, I have so many books that I've started and not finished. Yeah. Is that normal to be reading like multiple books at a time? But this is how I've done it. Audiobooks.
Yeah.
I use the Bible app and I listen to it.
Oh, that's great.
And then I'm doing the Bible recap, which a lot of people recommended to me. So that's what I'm doing this time around. I'm taking the pressure off myself of reading and I'm just listening. Yeah. And that works for me. And I think sometimes you just have to figure out what works for you. But back to your original question, that might have been like 3 or 4 questions ago. My advice to anyone that is wanting to do something, if you just take if you have an hour a day, I mean, look at our phones and how that will tell you, look at our screen time, you know, that will tell you that you do have actually some free time in the day. But if you just take an hour or 30 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever you can muster, you'll look back in a year and go, wow, I'm glad that I just took this little bit each day or an hour or 2 on the weekends to work on whatever project I'd like to do. Or be a part of, rather than just saying, it's too much, I'm tired, and I'm just going to numb out and scroll social media, which isn't, what is that doing? Right. Another goal of mine I've tried to do is by 5 o'clock, I'm like, I'm not going to look at my phone anymore.
That's a lofty goal.
But I also go to bed early. So my 5 o'clock is like most people's 10 o'clock or something. Okay. It's 9 o'clock or something. Yeah. No, because it's so easy to get in bed and you're like, I'm going to go to bed. And then you're scrolling. And then an hour later, which is probably why I'm not getting sleep, you're like, oh, what am I looking at? So I think for me anyway, I feel better when I step away. And I don't know if it was from a book I read or a podcast or a quote, but this quote stuck with me. Someone said, an hour a day a week a year, you should stay off social media.
So that is in one of Andy Crouch's books.
You knew it. I don't know where I heard it.
It's Wise Family, I think is the name of it. I could be wrong, but
and I might have heard him on a podcast say it.
Yep. I think I heard it on a podcast talk about the book that says it. So
okay,
the fact
is so good though, right?
What's important is that we know it and that we hear it. Right. But that's a great practice.
Yes.
So say that one more time.
An hour a day a week, and a week a year.
Yeah.
So when we go...
And that's not just for phones. That's for anything that you feel like you're addicted to or just need a break from.
Yeah. We go to the beach once a year as a family with my parents. And that's kind of my week. I will get off social media. I have my phone and I'll take pictures. I'll use it as like a camera almost. Yeah. But the first year I did it, I had to move my social media apps to the last page on my phone because I intentionally would just sit down and you out of habit. So I moved them to the and they're still on the last page on my phone because I want to intentionally swipe and go, okay.
It's crazy how your thumb just goes to that place. And then when you move the app, it's like, the fact that my thumb just went to that place, even though it's not even there.
Yeah, I know.
It's nuts. It is
so
nuts.
Social media can be good and it can be
Yeah,
not so good. So you just have to be wise.
That's right. That's right.
With your use of it.
That's right. Well, I was just going to say too, I just had Melissa Kruger on the podcast.
I listened to part of it. I haven't finished it yet.
So
but
good.
You know, I'm getting there.
Yeah. Well, she had said similar to what you're saying of like anything that you want to do or want to start, like don't look at it as this all or nothing thing, but just like take an hour a day. I mean, she shared an example of like, I went to go write part of my book and I didn't write anything. But she's like, but then the next time I sat down to write it, I had stuff come to me. So she's like, I needed that first time where nothing happened to fuel the second time.
You just have to sit in your thoughts.
Yeah. That sounds terrible to an Enneagram 7, but yes, I guess so. Did you shared your Enneagram on?
Yes, I took the quiz or whatever forever ago.
Okay.
And it said I was a 3, I believe.
Okay.
But what does that even mean? I don't know what it means.
Well, yeah. If you don't know what it means, then it's kind of useless. But there are some books that you should definitely, if you want to research it more, The Road Back to You is like the quintessential Enneagram book.
Okay.
It's by Ian Morgan Cron. He wrote it and it goes through each number and it's the one that I tell everyone, if you want to learn about it and you want to learn your number, read this book and then go take the test just because taking the test, it's really difficult to like measure motivation on a test question. Mm-hmm. So unless you're like really in tune with yourself, a lot of people are not self-aware. So they go take this test and then they botch it. And then it says they're a 6 and it's like, they're not a 6, they're a 2 or whatever, you know?
I'd be interested to take it now again and see if I'm still a 3. But I work with a girl who's very into Enneagram and she's always posting about what Enneagram 3s are and need. And I'm like, oh, that's me.
Yeah.
So I think I am probably a 3.
Yeah.
I don't know what my wing is. I know you and Terry talk about your wing.
It's okay. Well, you can talk about it later.
I mean, I know it gave it to me, but I just don't remember what it was.
Yeah. No, it's okay. It's okay. It's a journey. It's all right. Well, what is there that we need to know about your book? Where can we find it and purchase it?
So I have all the information on my website, sarahsfrench.com. I'm going to be doing some events in and around the Charlotte area over the holidays, book signings and stuff. So I'll post that on my social media as well. But if you go to my website, you can also get a book and I will autograph it for you and send it to you. So it's a good little holiday gift.
That's perfect. Yes, everyone needs to get. And this episode will be going out in a couple weeks, so this will be perfect timing for people to, as you're listening to this in real time, go purchase this book so that you have it for the Christmas season. It'll be so amazing. Well, I love it and I love you. And I'm glad that you came back again to the studio to record for a second podcast. You're probably like, Morgan, what in the world?
No, I feel like I've been listening to all your podcasts now. So I feel like we're BFFs secretly.
100%.
And I know way more about you than I probably should because I've been listening to all your podcasts. We need to talk about Disney cruise, all that stuff.
We can talk about the next time you come over, we're going to bypass the studio and we'll just go upstairs to my living room and just hang.
And will the Christmas decorations be up?
Oh, they're up now. But yes, the tree's not up yet, but the tree will be up.
Mine have been up since like August.
Yeah. Well, you've had to promote and all
the book. My husband said, "Are we going to take this stuff down?" I said, "No, let's just leave it up." Yeah. So everyone at work makes fun of me because I think that's quite amusing.
Yeah. Are you like January 1st, everything comes down?
No, normally, especially when I lived in Boston, I would leave it up until the snow went away, which sometimes was like April 1st. It just made me feel good.
Your house is the Christmas house. There are 2 dark months that there are no Christmas decorations. Other than that,
listen, my grandmother left her Christmas stuff up all year round. So I'll be taking after her, but as long as I'm married, my husband will not let me do it. Yeah. So January 1st, I don't even have to help him. He is taking the stuff down. It's time. Yeah. He gets that stuff and takes it down and I'm either helping or I'm not. He's a man on a mission. Yeah. So
I have a friend who takes her decorations down, but leaves her tree up and just seasonally decorates her tree.
There's a lady on Instagram. I'm trying to think of the handle. Turtle Creek something.
I believe you.
Something like that. Turtle. I'm wearing a turtleneck, but I'm pretty sure it's Turtle Creek. Anyway, she decorates for every holiday, like Valentine's trees, St. Patrick's Day. Yeah. Like it is so fun if you're into all of that.
Yeah.
It is very fun to follow her and all her decorations. And I'm going to have to show you now. You're going to have to
I'd love
follow
to see
her.
it.
But I don't know where she stores all this stuff. Like she must have a garage of a storage unit.
She will be featured on TLC's Hoarders for next season. She's one of those. Just kidding. Okay, that's great. Well, I have one final question for you.
Oh, yes.
I don't even think I prepped you for this.
No, you didn't. But I've listened to it on your podcast, and I kind of forgot that I was supposed to think of something.
You have 4 seconds.
I feel like I'm really bad at narrowing things down. I didn't even let you ask the question.
Yeah, let me ask the question, Sarah. Thank you. It's my podcast. Appreciate that. Yeah. So, because the podcast is called Love That For You, I would love to ask you, what are you loving right now? And it can be more than one thing.
It can be, yes. That's what people ask you, like, what's your favorite movie? And I'm like, I don't know.
Oh,
it depends on the time of year and the mood I'm in.
Yeah.
My daughter's favorite movie now, though, is White Christmas, which is what we're already watching now. And I'm so happy. I'm like, you are my daughter, that your favorite movie is White Christmas.
Did you know that one of the main girls in that is George Clooney's mom?
Yes. Yes.
That's like the coolest fact I know about that movie.
Oh, and I was going to tell you too. I'm totally getting off topic now. The podcast I listen to of you and Terry, You've Got Mail is my favorite movie. So it killed me. It killed me that she did not get your shop girl reference. I literally was like, thank you. At work, when anyone says thank you, I say thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, I had to go there. What am I loving? So I came in here with my LaCroix. I love LaCroix. So I gave up soda. Does this count as a soda? I gave up caffeine.
Yeah, but we need to talk about bubbly water drinks.
That has what got me.
Did you watch my Instagram stories a week ago?
Oh, no.
Girl, I thought I was going to die.
What
I
happened?
was on the floor of my parents' house, literally in a fetal position crying. I thought I was going to die.
From a LaCroix?
So I had the worst pain ever. This is like TMI, but we're just here. We're here. It's too late. Worst pain ever. Like I was like nauseous, but nothing was happening. Like I couldn't do anything. I couldn't expel anything.
Do you drink like fizzy drinks?
So a friend of mine messaged me and was like, hey, this sounds similar to me. I didn't eat a ton of food and I was just drinking a lot of carbonated drinks.
And you
water,
had a Mentos.
Celsius. No. So I had Celsius and like a Coke Zero and bubbly water.
No. Yeah.
And like it was just, I thought I was going to actually explode. So if you drink it, just make sure you're eating food and moving your body.
Olipop is another.
Yes.
It's like a probiotic drink.
Yeah.
I'm kind of obsessed with those too.
Yeah.
To go a little deeper, more in substance, not on just,
what else are you loving?
I got to interview one of the longest serving volunteers at the Billy Graham Library. And so
cool.
Yes. And so when I was with her, we were walking around not the museum part, the library portion where the books are. And she pointed out the New Living Translation Life Application Study Bible. And she said, Billy Graham always recommended this to like everyone.
Oh.
And so I bought it.
Yeah.
And I'm obsessed. I mean, this was years ago. Our church does the ESV version, but if you I'm the average Bible reader. And so I need like lots of explanations and I need things to make sense. And the footnotes in this Bible, I am obsessed with this Bible. It has made for me the Bible come to life and help me like truly understand scripture in an average person. In an average person way, I
mean, if we're reading it and not understanding it, why are we reading it at all?
Yeah. So anyway, I'm loving that. So I'm doing that.
Like with your Bible recap?
With my Bible recap. Yeah. So sometimes when she reads the quotes, the verses, they're not exactly the same.
But even that can be helpful to see the different.
Yeah. So loving that. So there's something more and my magnetic eyelashes.
Game changer. So good. I had fake lashes on the other day for a photo shoot that I was in. And Emily Odom, I don't know if you've met Emily. She does my hair and makeup. She's wonderful. If you need, you can clearly have your hair and makeup done, but she's wonderful. But she was glaming me up and you should have seen me. Like I was like,
did she glue them on?
So hers are the glue ones. Okay. And they're great. It's me. I'm the problem. Like I was like, okay. And I have like tears coming down my eyes. And she's like, Morgan, you are the worst client ever. I'm like, I'm doing my best. And I'm like, I can feel it in my eye. I'm just like, so not that person.
So you're fun to put eyeliner on.
Oh man.
I have done makeup for lots of friends, like weddings and stuff. Cause I always like doing makeup, but there's always that person when you're trying to put eyeliner on. You're like, just,
Like, don't close your eyes, but look down. Don't look up. No, don't close your eyes. That was me the other day.
But I don't like the glue either. That's why I do the magnetic ones.
Okay. What's the brand?
Ardell. Ardell. I think it's like at Target, CVS, Amazon, wherever. Yeah. They're very easy.
And you put them on daily?
Yeah, and they last for like months. I've had these same ones for months.
Oh, so you don't take them?
Oh, yeah, I take them off. But then you can reuse them.
Okay.
Unlike
That's nice.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Mine are somewhere on my bathroom floor upstairs.
The glue, I feel like the glue too pulls out your own eyelashes.
So she placed it like almost on top, so they're not touching. And then like with the mascara kind of combines them.
Well, she's better at that than
I don't ask questions.
I can't do the
I just say, are we done yet?
But I'm supposed to put them on my daughter this year for her competition dance thing.
They take that seriously.
They do, and she's got to do the eyelashes this year, and I'm not prepared. I need to call. I need to call your friend.
Yeah, there you go. You can totally do that. Sarah, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Did I just take it all over the place?
Yeah, which is how it needs to be. It's absolutely perfect.
Well, I love it, and I love this podcast for you.
And that's a wrap on today's episode of Love That For You. As always, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to everyone who shares their incredible story with us. If this story resonated with you, don't hesitate to reach out and let them know. Remember, we're all about celebrating the victories big and small. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your friends. Keep spreading those positive vibes and saying, love that for you. Until next time, friends, I'm Morgan Leatherwood, reminding you to embrace your own story and find joy in the journeys of others.